up, I am on my way. I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing? In Christmas times, we'll be chilling and having a good time. Doesn't matter if the snow is falling or the wind blows in the rain.
Welcome to day 4 of Reading with Lori in Living Happily with Lori. And so I'm just going to hop right into it, but first I'd like to ask, how are you doing tonight or today, whenever you're watching this or listening to this? I've actually had a really busy day. I went out to the bulk food store and I'm about to, after I do this and edit day 3 video, I'm about to get some jars put together so I can give like a holiday. I've got red velvet cake for cupcakes or whatever people want to make, and I've got some different hot chocolates and French vanillas, and I've got, excuse me, I've got like some of my favorite recipes printed off so I can put them in Christmas cards, and I gotta redecorate my wine kitchen tree because my grandson tore it apart. Him being autistic, he's just like all hands, everything's gotta be, interesting for texture and touch and stuff. So yeah, that's an interesting thing. But once I get it redone, I'm looking at my other tree because he's trying to pull this one apart too, which is it can be really frustrating, especially when you've got things the way you like them, but I love him. He's my grandson, and this stage won't be there for always. So anyway, enough of my rambling. I'm just glad that I get to spend Christmas with them and my other 2 kids. So let's hop right into it. The 4th story in The Joy of Christmas, the Green Book, is called The Best Luxury of All. Let me get my handy dandy glasses on. And the quote underneath this says, "Blessed is the season which engages the whole world in conspiracy of love." That is by Hamilton Wright Mabie, and Mabie is spelled Mabie, or is it Mobby? But I'm thinking maybe. Anyway, let's carry on, and I am going to be doing 3 stories tonight. Okay, let's carry on. My friend Neil was feeling guilty one year during the holiday season. She was throwing away the solicitations for donations that arrived in the mail from various good causes because she was saving her money to spend on gifts. Then she remembered a piece of advice she had read somewhere. If you want to give away money, go to the bank. Take out as much cash as you can afford and distribute it to people on the street. This appealed to, it's Nell, not Neil. Nearly every day she saw homeless people and others in need, but she never paid much attention as she whizzed by in her car, and she even crossed the street to avoid the scary-looking ones when she was walking. Nell thought about her fiver envelope. Yeah, fiver. Whenever she received a $5 bill as change in a transaction, she saved it. After gathering a bunch, she would treat herself to massage or some other luxury. She decided to take a $100 bill she accumulated and give it away. Nell found her first beneficiary one early cold morning at the post office. A dented maroon car, the back bumper tied on with a rope and stuffed with clothing, pulled into a parking space. A weary woman struggled to get out of the vehicle and up to the post office steps. Nell pulled a 5 from her wallet and folded it in half, and when the woman entered the building, Nell asked, "May I give you something?" The woman looked weary as Nell held out the money. "Why?" "Because it's Christmas." The woman took the money. "That's it? For no reason?" Nell said, "Yes," and wished her a Merry Christmas. "Thank you so much." Nell felt very happy. Next was a young wispy woman wrapped in layers of clothing to stave off all the cold rain. She was walking with black pit bull that wore padded doggy jacket. Nell pulled to the curb and got out of her car. "May I give you something?" Again a weary look. Nell held out a 5. The woman grinned, and then she looked close to tears. "I'm so glad I turned around and started walking this way. Otherwise I wouldn't have met you." She gave Nell a hug. A few days later, Nell was walking to her car in the grocery store parking lot. She noticed a woman putting her baby in the car seat in a dented pickup truck. As Nell held out her offering, the woman backed away. I shouldn't take it." Nell reached her hand out further. "Please, I want to give it to you." "Thank you. I really do need gas money." She invited Nell to the live nativity scene produced by one of the local churches on Christmas Eve. She said her baby would be playing the role of Jesus. She blessed Nell as she walked away. A few days later, Nell saw a middle-aged woman fishing through the public trash can. When she gave her $5, the woman beamed. "Thank you. It's my birthday." Nell's heart soared. "Happy birthday, my dear." Every time Nell gave away money, she felt immense joy. Most of the transactions took less than a minute, but during that time she was able to look at a person in the eyes, touch his or her hand, and in a few instances received a hug. This was so much better than using all those saved $5 bills for a massage. She gave away her last 5 to someone she saw frequently, a tall, lean man who appeared to be homeless. He wore a camouflage jacket and walked a dog with matching brindle coat. It was shortly after the New Year and raining when Nell spotted him. She was walking so fast that she pulled a block ahead so that she could intercept him. She wasn't sure how he would react because he seemed so self-contained, as if he preferred to be alone. "Hi," she said. He turned the greeting with a surprising twinkle in his eyes. "May I give you something?" She held out the folded bill. "Are you serious?" he asked. "Yes, please. I want to give it to you." He grinned. "Thank you." She had never been close to him. She looked at his face, really looked at it, and saw a kind man in his 40s with warm, dark brown eyes. She reached down and petted his dog, grateful that he had a companion. Why he was alone was a mystery, but she was glad to make a connection with this nice man. "Happy New Year." As the words left her mouth, she regretted them. They sounded hollow and trite, given his situation. "Happy New Year to you, too." He left, he said, leaving her with the gift of his smile. And this was by Kate Erickson. That was a beautiful story. I really admired that. Moving on to the next story is called Gratitude Gave Grief a Holiday. The caption below says, "Only by giving are you able to receive more than you already have," and is by Jim Rohn, Rohn. Excuse me, I need to have a sip of coffee. Steve passed away in September, and I wonder how I would survive the holidays without him. The Christmas decor that showed up in stores after Halloween was a harsh reminder that Christmas would be very different this year. That's it. Philanthropy. And even more so around the holidays, donating to charity. Adopting those in need and participating in various fundraisers was a long-time family tradition, but that year I didn't feel like celebrating much less shopping. I was lost without my soulmate and repeatedly asked our two adult sons, "What are we going to do?" Soon the charitable solicitations began to arrive, and I dreaded what would follow. The announcements of the fundraisers in which we had always taken part. Writing a check would be easy, but contributing anything that required my involvement seemed impossible. Friends and family offered their support and kindness as the holidays approached, and I was able to focus a little more on my own blessings. We had always been the givers, not the receivers, at Christmas time. And then finally realized something. The best way I could get through the holidays is to continue Steve's legacy and to do what he would have done if he were still here. The first thing I did was continue our tradition of adopting someone from our local senior services organization. It only took a brief call to get the wish list of a local senior citizen who had no family or financial resources. Shopping anonymously for someone I didn't know brought a bit of joy back into my life. It was fun to anticipate how surprised my adoptee would be when she received all the items on her wish list instead of just one. I felt a little like my old self. I was shopping again and enjoying it. The second opportunity to participate in helping others was more difficult. For years, Steve and I had made gingerbread creations for the Big Brothers Big Sisters annual fundraiser. This was an important tradition to us. As soon as we entered the competition each year, we would lay out all the plans for next year. Steve had decided that he would make Noah's Ark this year. My eyes moistened as I held the invitations to the fundraiser, thinking that the ark would never be made now. I was about to toss the invitation in the trash, but then I changed my mind. Our older son liked to make his own gingerbread creations for the event, so I saved it for him. Later, when I handed Chris the invitation, he immediately said, "Mom, we need to do Dad's idea for the whimsical Noah's Ark." And thus began our collaboration. It was so much fun creating the animal characters Steve had envisioned. I laughed at Chris's suggestion to put the skunks at the very back of the ark, away from the rest. It was just what Steve would have done. In the end, I was so grateful to my son for insisting that we make Steve's ark a reality, especially when it won third prize and sold the highest bid of the night to help the organization. And we were also both surprised and humbled when the Gingerbread Festival that year was dedicated to Steve. There was then another unexpected, wonderful, and generous surprise for us. Steve's company created an annual Steve Julian Award for employees who demonstrated his same outstanding service to their clients and co-workers. My family was invited to the annual luncheon at which this converted award is now presented each year. How grateful we were that others wanted to honor Steve's memory too. I learned much that year, especially that generosity is reciprocated, whether by another person's kindness or by the simple feeling it creates for the giver. But my most important lesson was that being grateful for one's blessing and sharing them with others is sometimes the best way to regain a little happiness. And this was by Vicki L. Julian. Aw, that one was so awesome also. And for the third story, the final one for tonight, this is called The First Gifts of Christmas. The caption, How Beautiful a Day Can Be When Kindness Touches It, by George Elliston. For the last 2 months, Duke Medical Center in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, had been our home while my husband Randy received treatment for an inoperable brain tumor. In early December, Randy underwent his final radiation treatment. We received clearance from his doctor to return home to Kentucky. I knew this would be our last Christmas together. There wasn't much joy for Christmas spirit in my heart as our long journey ended and we entered our neighborhood that cold and snowy December night. But then I glimpsed a bit of yellow ribbon tied to a tree, fluttering in the wind, and then I saw another yellow ribbon tied to a tree in the next yard, and then another and another. An avenue of yellow ribbons welcomed us as we slowly drove down our street. As we pulled into our driveway, we saw a welcome home sign adorning the garage door. Fresh pine garland and ribbon trimmed the mailbox and the outdoor lights. Christmas candles glowed warmly in every window of our home. Dazed, we opened the front door, stepped inside, and found Christmas waiting for us. The tree, beautifully lit, stood in its place by the window, the ornaments waiting to be hung, filled in a basket under its limbs. Ribbon and pine graced the mantel, and all of our Christmas decorations were lovingly and perfectly placed throughout our home. As Randy and I walked, virtually speechless, from room to room, we discovered small Christmas gifts bearing our names tucked here and there throughout the house, and the refrigerator and freezer filled with casseroles and fruit. Rather than coming home and frantically pulling the Christmas boxes and bins out of the attic and simultaneously unpacking our suitcases, Randy and I spent our first morning at home leisurely watching it snow, drinking hot cocoa, and hanging ornaments on our tree. We wrapped Christmas gifts, made soup, and sat by the fire holding hands, reminiscing about Christmases long ago. The selfless love of our friends who gathered together and readied our homes for our return served as a loving reminder of true spirit of Christmas. These friends gave the best of themselves and their most precious gifts of time and talent and love, and there is no sweeter gifts than those. By Shannon Erickson. Wow, that was touching, wasn't it? That is precious. So, thank you. Thank you for, again, being here. Thank you for being a part of my life and walking this short little journey with me I too have gained some friends, and it's very precious to me. And I think the more I read these books, the more I'm starting to open up to having some of these Christmas spirits kind of sprinkle that light back up inside of me. And I hope it is for you too. Sometimes it's really hard to find that spirit within when you don't have the kind of money that you wish you could. Like, nobody needs to know my financial state, but I will be honest. I don't have money to put a gift underneath the tree for my kids or my grandson, or to send to my granddaughter. I don't even have money to send to my mom a gift, and she's in a senior home. But we will be around the Christmas tree smiling, and we will be together. And this won't be the first Christmas that it'll be like this for us. But as long as we have each other, it's one day I can get my kids a gift any other time of the year. But and that's the way it is. And it's humbling, you know? So anyway, the love, like a couple of days ago, I wouldn't have said that. I was so depressed about it all. But the more I keep reading, the more I'm okay with it, you know? So anyway, I'm going to close this down for tonight and hope to see you tomorrow. And I appreciate the comments and the likes. And let me know if your spirit is coming a little bit more brighter. So, yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. And always allow your spirit to be the warrior within. Always be yourself. And always have fun. Love ya. See you soon. Okay. Steve and I had always practiced year-round philanthropy. Philanthropy. Okay.